All right, good morning. So we're up to Siman Kuf Pei Dalad Sif Hey. So Kuf Pei Dalad Sif Hey. So important halachas. Ad Emosai Yochel Levarich. How long have you got for Birchas Hamazon? In other words, you've finished eating. How quickly do you have to bench? How long have you got? Ad Sheyisakel Hamazon Shebemer. So the Mechaber answers until the food begins to has digested in your stomach. For Kamashi Urei. How long is that? Kol zman she'ein ro'ev machmas eisa achila. So long as you're not hungry again, because once you're hungry, that means the food has properly digested. But from the moment you're hungry again, even though it may not have digested fully, we consider it as if it's digested fully, and therefore you've lost the opportunity to say Birchas Hamazon. And so too, and so too regarding eating fruit and drinking wine, if he's no longer hungry or thirsty, and he doesn't hasn't got any desire to have any more fruit, then Yevarich he can make the after bracha. If he doesn't know if it's been digested. Okay, so let's see exactly what this means. Says the Mishnah Berurah Tes Zayin. Ad Emosai. In other words, Amisha Shochach v'lo berch dele elkai. I.e., someone who he hasn't benched yet. He forgot to bench straight after the meal. How long has he got? So number 12, footnote 12 is an important point. Mashma Midvarov, says the footnote, Shelechatchila yesh levarich miyad v'lo lahamdin ad sof hazman she'ef levarich. The implication is that really you should bench at the first opportunity. You shouldn't delay. Very much k'sav l'lalon. B'shem ha'chaznin she'itochen she'mi'ikar din zman ha'bracha hu somach la'achila. It could be the mi'ikar din, the zman of Birchas Hamazon, is close to eating. And he carries on, he says that there's much from the Shatzion, that generally speaking with the other mitzvahs as well, maybe the chiyuv is to do something straight away as soon as the zman is. We've discussed this before. When you daven, whatever it may be, if it's the zman of mincha, you should daven at the earliest opportunity because mitzvah liotcha al tach mitzena. But either way, the point is from here, the mashmos of the Mishnah Berurah is that you should try and bench as soon as you can. Okay, kol zman she'ein rav. But how long have you got if you didn't? So long as you're not hungry again. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Yud Zayin, because once you are hungry again, then you've lost it. You've lost the Birchas Hamazon. And if you now want to eat again, you need to make a new bracha of hamotzi. And you could be sitting at the table still, but you were sitting there for a couple of hours. You're now hungry again. So says the Magen Avraham, you need to make a new hamotzi on the food, the new piece of bread that you want to eat. Since the food that you ate previously has digested, hifsid gam bracha rishona. Avol. Harbe achronim pligi alei. Many achronim argue with the Magen Avraham. V'sovrei de bracha harishona lo hifsid kol shelo hisiach daita ben time. If you're sitting at the same table, you've washed, you had some bread, and you're sitting there schmoozing, and now a couple of hours later, you want a bit more. So since you haven't actually moved from that place and there's no hesach hadas, then the other achronim argue with the Magen Avraham and said, no, just have another slice of bread. You do not need to make a new hamotzi. Okay, so how long have you got until the food of that meal has digested? Says the Mishnah Berurah Yudches, machmas oisa achila nira sheba lafuke, that comes to exclude imhu mesha'eh sheba oisa achila levado hoyakva shir lihisakel. For example, he had a meal and that meal has now been digested, and now he's hungry again. And now in the duration, so he's had some dessert or he's had some extra food. So you've got a problem. He's digested the meal that is eaten, and now maybe if that's all he had, he'd be hungry again. But he had some apple pie and he had some fruit at the end, and he's not hungry now because of that. So, and he realizes he hasn't benched from the original eating. The actual meal, let's say he has a sandwich, and then he's sitting there and he's a bit hungry, and he has some desserts or something, and now he's not hungry because he had some desserts. But he's actually digested and is hungry again if it was just the meal, the sandwich he was eating, so then he's lost that bracha. However, this is important. However, when is that true? That's only true that after he ate the bread or the meal, he decided not to eat anything else. If it's all part of one meal, which is what we're used to do. For example, a Shabbos meal sometimes can be a long meal, a few hours. And it could well be that you're sitting, you had your main course and your first course and your soup and your main course, whatever it is, and you now digested from all the food that you ate. And you're still sitting there a couple of hours later. You can sit and you can still say Birchas Hamazon. Why? You're having dessert and you're nourishing some desserts and drinking. It's all considered one suda. And therefore, it's not as if the first thing has digested. So, in other words, if you are sitting there, the ikar is try and bench sooner rather than later. Don't leave it too long. How long have you got? The time it takes for the meal to digest. What if you have a sandwich and you would be hungry again half an hour later, let's say? So then, it could be you've lost it because you're hungry again. That's the shear for you to not make Birchas Hamazon. You've lost the Birchas Hamazon. But if you've had some dessert in the interim and you're no longer hungry, you've lost it. You've still lost it because that bread meal has digested already. However, if it's one suda, then that suda is not finished, and then you can still say Birchas Hamazon. Okay, says the Mishnah Berurah Yutes. This is going on L'Osam Peiros. What is it going on? V'chein nami l'inachilas Peiros shtias yain im ein rav lo tzoma v'lo sar v'soy v'lo tzom Peiros yivarech im en yadeh l'shaim nisaklu. Says the Mishnah Berurah, lav dafka fruit, ela she'ein l'toy of the shum Peiros. He just doesn't want any fruits again. Who simin shlo nisaklu adayim b'meov. That's a sign that what you had previously is not fully digested. Im einu yedea. Now, v'chol zeh k'she'achol kol tzorcha me'alechem u'me'aperes. That's only true if you ate your full. You ate your fill. But if you only had a little bit, but you want to have a bit more, but you just didn't have any more because the food had finished, that's very hard to work out the shear of the kolzman she'ein erov. After you have the first slice of bread or the first sandwich, you could do with another sandwich, but you just didn't have any more. So the Mesharin Bezat Kadei Hilach Arba Milin, and this is what everyone knows about. You have the time it takes to walk Arba Milin, Shehu Ayin Base Minut, which is 4 times 18, which is 72 minutes. Ad Kadei Shir Zeh Mechuyev Levarich. So you have a sandwich. You've got 72 minutes to bench. If you have a larger meal, technically you've got longer than that. You've got the time it takes for the thing to digest, which could be longer, right? But we'll see in a second. But more than because in less than 72 minutes, the food is not properly digested. So you've definitely got 72 minutes to bench. If you had only a small amount to eat, and you waited until to say Birchas Hamazon, you're not sure if the food is digested, which is the shear that you've got to say Birchas Hamazon, even if it's within 72 minutes, the best thing to do is have another slice of bread if you're not sure, and then afterwards you can bench. And you have to make a new brach of hamoitzi on that bread if so long as you weren't mesiach das. If you haven't got any bread, okay, so in other words, what have we said? We said that you've got 72 minutes after you've washed, after you've said hamoitzi, really you should try and bench at the earliest opportunity.
72 minutes after hamoitzi, after you finish eating?
After you finish eating, 72 minutes after the last eating, you're quite right, sorry. If you only have a small amount, you can rely on that. Technically, you could go longer. But, you shouldn't go too long if you feel very full. 72 minutes is your benchmark, really. Take a look at 15. He says the interesting Orach HaShulchan. Even if he ate a lot and he's no longer hungry, Ein laharich yosem mishav v'chomesh. Don't go more than an hour and a fifth, which is 72 minutes. V'chein kos v'agonim el yashiv. Shelechatchila ein lismoich al hadov v'lahamtin yosem mishav v'chomesh. Ki ein on bekiem l'shaya b'diuk mahu hazman shekva ein arav. V'chein kos v'agonim shlem zam narbach in mincha shlema. In other words, let's say a big Shabbos meal. Yeah, you could still be full 2 hours later. But says Rabbi Yashiv, says Rabbi Shlomo Zalman, says the Orach HaShulchan, it's not a good idea to go beyond 72 minutes because it's very hard to get it exactly right. Has the food digested? So 72 minutes is your good benchmark. Okay, let's just finish off. Vov, shir achile levarich ala berachas hamazon bekazayis. The shir to say to bench is a kazayis, very important halacha. In other words, how much bread do you need in order to say berachas hamazon? So the answer is a kazayis. How much is a kazayis? Ramosha used to, they quote Ramosha, says in the Tshuva, half a mid-cut rye. What does that mean? That if you got a loaf of bread in the olden days, they're not square loaves. If you have a loaf which is taller in the middle, you take half a slice of the mid-cut of that big slice. That's a half a slice of bread, approximately. Okay, says the Mishnah Berurah Chaf Aleph. Afal gav the bracha rishona tzarich levarach avila kolshu. For a bracha rishona, even a small amount, you need to make a bracha. Even a kolshu hasam mishum da'asa lehanas hazeh b'li bracha. That's because you can't eat anything without a bracha. You can't get benefit from this world without a bracha. But we're talking about the after bracha, the birchas hamazon. That you need a kazayis. Hainu midrabanon. Because of midaraisa ein chayav levarach birchas hamazon kim k'sha'achal dafka she'es sevia. Min Torah, there's only a chiyuv of benching if you ate to satiation. Shenem avachalta v'sovata uverachta. V'shir sevia mashma b'seifa hachinuch in Parshas Eikev the ein shav b'chol adam. It depends on each person. Some people need more to eat. Some people need less to eat. And a kol echad yodei svias. Everyone knows when he is satisfied. V'im darke tomid lechol kadei michyos levad. If a person only eats a very small amount to keep body and soul together, gam ze nechshav svia. For him, that's satiation, right? So just to summarize halacha vov, for a bracha rishona, even at makol shehu. For a birchas hamazon, you need a kazayis, which I said is approximately half a slice of bread, and that's midrabanon. If you have kadei svia, so you ate a larger amount and you're satisfied, then the birchas hamazon is min Torah. Okay.
Somebody who's never satisfied.
Yeah. So there are other problems.